In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The beginning is described to us as a void without shape or form. The best way that we can personify this void in this dimension with our understanding is water. Within this void arose a supreme intelligence and maturity. And a manifestation came out from an utterance of another word. The words were, "Let there be light." And there was light. Soon there were other words and other manifestations, one of which being the land, the earth, to separate the waters. And because we share all of the elements of the earth, we too can call ourselves earth. Greetings and welcome to another step in the journey, another brick laid without straw, another sacrificial move towards the movement that is an awakening. This is the build. I am partnered as always with Brother Eli as he will come forth and bring our opening announcements. Blessings.
Blessings, everyone. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in the furnace of affliction, the burning bush. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise. A person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities needed to be able to speak and achieve Mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. As individuals who love the concept of a greater force, a power, a God, through the examples of the greater force or God, our entire existence rests on knowledge and not on belief. We will love to distance ourselves from the rash, the gossip, and the envious, accomplishing what is right, finding virtue in everything, and never evading responsibility, respecting what is worthy. And of course, in the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. So we hope and pray that this message that we share will not offend anyone because that is not our desire. We hope to send out something that we can look back on when we are older and saying, yes, some things may not be in has we will say that things might not be in a reality, but some of the things we express today are a reality. So maybe in the year 2050 or 60, we can look back and says, oh, we were doing well at that stage of understanding. Just like children in a sandbox who don't know nothing about paying bills. They only know about the issues of the schoolyard, which are very serious in their world. Blessings.
Blessings. So today, a question was asked at around 2 o'clock this afternoon in regards to the bill from people that I know pretty well. The question was, how far have you come from the start of the build? And how much more of the build do you think is required to achieve what the goal is in your mind? Now, of course, I am wording this a little bit more eloquently than how it was expressed, but it made me think, how far indeed have we come since the inception of the build? We should indeed take this endeavor as a series of cumulative lessons upon which anyone could inquire and, dare I say it, test what has been brought here and find it to still be sound, even if it is only in a relative sense regarding our consciousness. What I mean by that is, if we are here in this sacred space, sharing these sacred lessons, and we do not keep those lessons somewhere in this computer here that can hold 300 years worth, then we are only spinning our wheels. To continue through that metaphor of spinning our wheels, I know what our drive is. I know the destination. There are no shortcuts on the GPS for where we want to go. However, in order to know our way, there must be landmarks of some sort, which we can use to summarize and, dare I say it, make parables, palatable lessons that are condensed enough and even diluted enough for others who cannot take such the strong drink of what has been achieved here. I will start very broadly, and then as we dig deeper, we will go into the intricacies of it, what this build represents, what has been achieved so far, and what is still left to achieve. First and foremost, this sacred space is a brother and sisterhood of like minds, like temples to achieve certain levels of intelligence that could be deemed in any science a great achievement due to the discipline that is involved to obtain said knowledge and action that is carried out from the gathering of this knowledge to bring forth fruit. To be frank, for me, this is the meaning of a brotherhood. Though it has been intermittent, I have, upon digging deep enough in the archives to realize this, have known Brother Eli for a decade. One thing, if nothing else, is tested in that time, and it is the time itself and the consistency within said time. In some shape or form, both of us have proven to ourselves a certain level and quality of consistency. It is for this reason that we are joined together here in the sacred space that we are building to inspire more consistency, not just for ourselves, but for others who seek brotherhood. Though there are rules of engagement within this sacred space, these are rules that we establish together as brothers. Brothers not being bound by a bloodline, but being intertwined in what is the greatest expression from a person who is not wise in search of wisdom from one to another. Not preacher, not pastor, not bishop, not even yogi or master, but brother. This has not been without the shadowy parts of that intermittency, of which I can, on my own accord, proclaim certain levels of immaturity, of which I am cordially, nonchalantly smiling about. For in my youth, it was not a laughing matter. But in my maturity, learned that the things that are as serious as that sandbox and recess rules that are inert are not as important as it was when we were younger. What shifted What seasons have changed in the mind and temple of what is important? Part of what I have come to find is important, especially in the build and this brotherhood, is the vast amounts of information that can be shared intravenously without anger. There is an immense amount of discipline that comes from a person who, upon learning anything and want to share it with everyone, at the very instance of a person disagreeing, to not be drawn to anger, for it has been found to be immature to think of only one answer to all things. Since the build has started, I have reached back into the depths of sacred texts, the Bible, the Quran, and many others, of which I must admit has a little more dust between the pages than I would like. But upon looking at those old words to freshened eyes and a more open mind, come to find more knowledge than I ever had before, no matter how many times the words have been uttered or read. We've achieved a certain level of camaraderie in the battle for intelligence and elegance over ego and arrogance. It is something that, at the very moment upon contemplating it all, I'm quite pleased. I've come to learn certain levels of discipline, of fasting as a means to cleanse the temple, as a means to bring purity, to voice out what has been learned or written or read. I have also found certain shortcomings that I'm happy to say challenged me to correct. Those who have been here from the beginning know that there was a point in time where I was not at 100% in health and wellness, specifically with my voice being the tattletale of these shortcomings, which has brought me not to a rude awakening, but an alarm clock nonetheless, as a means to put forth more discipline in my physical days. In regards to things that are yet to come of the bill, I must first say that all that has been said here up until this point is the tip of the iceberg and the mere first layer of foundation here. There are so many more levels, so many more complicated intricacies that are yet to be extrapolated here. I find quite joy that comes from these extrapolations with like minds. What I aspire to have in the build is to have more than two squares on the screen. That there will be a group formed of maybe two or three more keynote speakers that will be present at a regular basis so that those minds can share within the divinity of these moments. Though I have had chances at such opportunities, Brother Eli has actually succeeded in bringing our first special guest here at the build. Learned a lot in that experience. Thankful God to have brought that experience to us. I have learned that in regards to fasting, I can survive or even thrive off of eating one meal in a 4-day period. I am working on 7. My will must strengthen itself with repetition. But it will come to a day when I can say that though I am walking in steps towards that striving of perfection, maybe I can fit my feet in the footprints in the sand that Farad Muhammad had placed down upon this land. A man who could eat one meal a week, speak multiple languages and dialects, and has studied the world in his time. Praise be upon him. Do I aspire to be another Farad? No. I aspire to be the first and best version of me with the teachings of giants of which I will rest and roost upon their shoulders and give reverence to their walk, helping me with mine. Breadcrumbs to find my way home. One that comes from the amnesia of remembering the Godhead within us all. What do I see in the future in regards to goals? I see technological improvements that are on the way in regards to the build. This is recorded at 720p, but the goal is by June, we will be in full high definition live streaming. And there will be more formats in regards to contribution from viewers and those who are that are honorary in regards to being members of the build. Regarding the logistics, before I pass on the spoken space to Brother Eli, might I indulge you in a dream I had? Small backstory. Upon driving from home to work each morning, there is a banner, a huge billboard with 3 spaces for numbers from 0 to 8, much like a calculator. It stands as tall as a 4 to 5-story building. Alongside this electronic augmentation of numbers lies a single message. The North Carolina State Lottery Mega Millions. For the first time ever, it is at the $1 billion mark. And I had a dream, though I am not a gambler, that I had won a portion, a considerable portion of these funds. And it was at that moment that I realized that it is truly more of a blessing to give than it is to receive. Upon waking, upon sharing this dream with my wife, I began to dream while speaking to her of who I would give blessings of financial abundance to, so that they would no longer have to struggle, so that they, through God and myself as a vessel, taking certain mathematical combinations of numbers that equated to a financial freedom, certain dividends that would render work no longer a requirement to survive. It made me think, what would I do in the event that something like that would come to pass? And in the dream, I flew across the country upon 9 different states with 9 specific people of which I had shared my dividends with, so that they would no longer have to struggle. I do not know if I would or would not ever even dare try something of that sort. But what I do know is those names, those references are very dear to me. And they were as few and far between as they needed to be. As close a circle that all could hug within and feel the love without needing any other words or numbers. In the coming months, there will be small improvements small but significant bricks built without straw sacrifices me so that the build will indeed be a structure in homage to divine intelligence, supreme maturity, and a struggle that we would one day deem worth it, for we would finally obtain our reward. Brother Eli, I am not sure if you're ready, but I would like to pose the same questions to you, brother. How far has the build come? What have you seen in regards to achievement? And what many things are still yet to be achieved that we shall together bring to manifest?
Brother, if it'd be okay, if you'd be so kind to ask one question and allow me to answer, and then we do it like that so I can make sure I can answer the questions appropriately. So ask the first question one more time, please.
Absolutely. The first question is, since its inception, how far has the build come?
When I was in Florida, they had these birds that eat dead animals. I can't remember their name. What's their name, brother? The ones that eat the dead animals, they real huge.
That would be the vultures, sir.
Vultures. Okay. When I was in Florida, I saw vultures, and I saw other birds that were smaller. This back in, I think, 2004. I remember seeing the vultures higher than clouds. Just looking at them being higher than clouds. And then I saw the other birds. They only had the ability to fly high as the trees, the top of the trees. So when I used to watch them stand together on the ground, I was wondering, the vultures could not explain the things that they saw while they were flying above clouds to the birds that could only fly as high as the trees. Their conversation would not be relevant because they would have no comprehension of such. And of course, I equate that to human beings and their understanding and comprehension. Just because both of them are birds and they both have wings and they both have the same functions, their ability supersedes the other. Therefore, there is no relationship when it comes to their mental experiences and learning experiences. While they exist at the same time in the same state, in the same city, and even the same area. Having said that, I've been on a particular path since consciously, from my understanding, since 5 years old. And I have a few more months and I'll be 50. To me, giving something to the AI of reverence is an honorable thing. Most people are afraid of AI destroying humanity because of their foolishness they put on the web, which the AI studies and memorizes. The AI is capable of looking at every program on the earth, and they categorize the programs and they put them in certain sections of their digital memory. Most of the movies analyze the superintelligence when they come to the earth wanting to destroy human beings because of their output. They are in domination of foolishness and ignorance. They lack patience. They have no consistency. They don't deserve to exist. So, this particular program is something that I've been a part of, even on my own, for quite some time. So, I do appreciate another individual who is willing to be like God. Earlier today, I was in tears almost because I was driving. I did the 4 a.m. run today. And I was watching the sun rise. I'm like, how does this thing be so consistent? It is a marvel. This it's like all of this existence is, but human beings, I mean, even see nature, even our body parts. There is no wavering. And when it wavers, we are doing something to help it waver. Like when you see a baby, the baby have posture. The baby comes exploring. It doesn't want to sleep. It want to stay up. It's active. It have joy. It forgives fast. You can do something bad to a young child, it forgives you the next minute because it's off to something else. I honestly cannot understand how the sun, moon is, how this thing, it doesn't stop. It's it's I mean, it's been doing it for trillions of years every day. It's a man. Oh man, I cannot understand God. It, it's there. It's there. And it's always there. Even in the Bible, David, thousands of years ago, spoke about nature. And it's still here. I mean, we can't pay it. We can't even talk to it. It don't have a concern. It does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't have holidays. It doesn't have naysayers. It doesn't have concerns about nothing. It exists. I marvel at what God created. The older I get, I have real few concerns of anything of waiver. I don't have, because I was listening to Kobe Bryant before we got on the podcast, the vlog that we're doing, the build. And he was saying that some people train 2 hours a day, then they go rest their body, train. So he said, but if you start training at 4 a.m., and he said, if you do that consistently for 5 to 7 years, eventually, no matter what they do, you be so far beyond them, they will never catch you. You know, I mean, I envision an older self. I envision myself as an older person. And that person is beautiful. I mean, physically beautiful, spiritually, mentally, just energy. Because I physically been in rooms with older people that the whole building was of glee and love. It didn't flicker. It was just a constant. Even when you walk by it and sneak it, just because that being is there, their presence is like a marvel. So I can't speak for everybody else. So I have a destiny, and it's a part of not wavering. It's a part of being. So this is an aspect of what I've been representing my individual self for quite some time. I am in my 9th year of fasting every week. And mind you, I was unloading trucks. I, so the build is an experience to see someone to join something that they will benefit more than they can imagine. Being consistent. Even when Brother Michael and I was speaking about someone that he'd been helping for 8 years, what popped into my mind was not quite what Brother Michael mentioned that was popping into his mind. Because again, Brother Michael is being initiated to the house of God. God doesn't care if you are ignorant or smart or whatever. God going to do what God's going to do. So you're learning how to be God-like, not judging a person if they're a smoker or whatever, but you providing the oxygen for them to breathe. If they destroy their lungs, that's on them. But you did your part. That is the glory of God. Having the ability to be Maharu. That's a part of Kemetic. Maharu means true of voice. Be and it is. Everyone bows down to those who can keep their word. All of existence bow down. If you have concrete and if you have water dripping, the concrete will bow down to the drip because existence is. So the build represents something because Brother Michael and myself were blessed to learn our challenges within the past couple months. We both had some extreme challenges. Myself personally, while everybody enjoying themselves, I was abandoned at Walgreens. And while everybody enjoying their Christmas, I was abandoned on the land for 3 days. So when you talk to other people and you are allowed to be in a space where people accept your challenges, it's comforting because knowing that you're not alone in this. So I'm grateful to have another person willing to go through these things because the greatest treasures are alone. The most expensive diamonds are in a box by themselves. And that's why God created a physical world. So when you listen to people who are what the world would say naysayers, I told Brother Michael, I don't even see Brother Michael. I don't even know if there is a Brother Michael in existence. I see God. That's how I told the brother I relate to everything. So if I had a person that brought that to my ears, I would say, God, let me read Job, 2nd chapter of Job. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And the Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And he is still maintaining his integrity, though you incite me against him to ruin him without any reason." Skin for skin, Satan replies. A man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face. The Lord said to Satan, "Very, very well then. He is in your hands, but must spare his life." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores, from the sores on his feet to the crown of his head. Then Job, and it's funny because Job and Job is spelled the same. And Job, took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." He replied, "Are you talking like a foolish woman? Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Another part I was looking up when Jesus spoke to Peter. He said, I'm going to read it. Even though Peter looked like Peter, it was not Peter according to the words of Jesus Christ in the Bible. When you go to Mark, let me go to Mark 8 and 33. Mark 8 and 33. So when we look at, if we say God is everyone and everything, we cannot get mad at individuals because it's not the individual. From my perspective, it is God, because even Prophet Muhammad experienced the angels with certain questions. All right, I will begin at this is Mark chapter 8, verse 31. It says, Jesus predicted his death. He then began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and after 3 days rise again. Now think about the level of people. These are the mind controllers. You have the elders, the chief priests, the teachers of the law. These are the ones who control the mind of the people. That I must be killed after 3 days and rise again. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciple, he rebuked Peter. He said, "Get behind me, Satan." He said, "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human's concerns." So when we look at Even when Jesus was on the mountain fasting for 40 days, Satan himself came and says, I will give you all this if you basically curse God. So, Brother Michael, it's always individuals, even on the inside of the mind, will present themselves to you when they was not there at the beginning to create the concept in the first place. Another example I always give: when I was inspired to take cold showers in the morning, I was by myself. No one was there. There was a voice in my head, meaning I was inspired to take cold showers for a year straight, every morning or sunrise, 3 in the morning. So a good month in it, another voice in my head say, Elias, you've been doing very well. You should start doing it every other day. I told that voice, why wasn't you there to say that when I was inspired to take cold showers in the first place? Then the voice disappeared. So, Brother Michael, for your first question, to me is I have much gratitude for anybody in this earth to be Maharu, true of voice, saying something that you will do something and keep your word at all costs. Um, and you'll see the challenges because again, it's not for the strong or the swift, but the one could endure to the end. The question is, again, there is nothing wrong with reevaluating things. I think that's an honorable thing because reevaluation, like the brother that invented the piece that kept the light bulb going, he said, I know over 2,000 times how to make the piece to maintain a light bulb. So there is good thing, but from my personal perspective, I am in love with being consistent, keeping my word. For some reason, there is something about when people know that, like, it's been many times on the job that I was totally illegal, but they knew in fact the leadership, the employer knew if I even sneeze that it's going to be fulfilled. So having that alone builds something within. So it may not be observed on the outside, but rest assured, those internal beings, watchers, observers, they are applauding anyone who represents the absolute. And the absolute is consistent. So what's the second question, brother?
The second question is, how much further we need to go in regards to the build and the many layers and improvement, whether that be logistical, technological, or otherwise.
That particular question was not established in the beginning of this journey. So that is left on the table because I do not recall we discussed that, brother, to be honest. Do you recall we did have a discussion on
We did
that?
not. We did
Yeah,
not.
so I remember that. So
No.
basically this can be the last meeting, you know what I'm saying? Because when you look at, and that's why I love the introduction, because the first thing about God do not twist anyone's arm.
No.
God love for someone to have the ability to do what they will. That's called true love and respect for someone's sovereignty. That is called maturity. I definitely represent maturity. I definitely represent someone who loves God. And since I love God, I did not create the person's destiny. I didn't read the person's palm. I didn't read the person's star charts or none of that. So I don't have the authority on someone's direction. So they have a right to do whatever they want when they want. I will definitely give them a beautiful farewell because
Mhm.
my highest honor is to be a brother. And that's the most brotherly thing to do, even to animals, insects, all things, is to allow them to have their free will because I am not the author of their existence. I am
Mhm.
grateful for them to participate in the journey that I've been seeing that existence represent all of us, which is being consistent. So that'd be the answer to the second question. What was the third question?
The last one is, well, actually, the second one was a combination of the last two that I said previously, but um, this will be my last question regarding certain achievements. Um,
Okay.
so, based upon from the challenges that we have, what do you consider being the achievements that you were able to share through those challenges in the beginning of the build? Um, those particular challenges.
Well, one achievement is I've been knowing you personally for many years, and this is an honorable thing. You know what I'm saying? That we talk on the Fridays, and we have an understanding. And I am, especially near 50, I don't have no more room with trying to really discover people who are not trying to be their best. It just takes so much life out of you. It is so honorable to be in this space. Like when I was a part of Muslim Brotherhood, like for example, I remember when I was a Christian going to Muslim places, we it was like a understanding, like in church people be hugging on wives and all that kind of stuff and all that jealousy and all that mixture. When I was the Muslim Brotherhood, the wives respectfully love their spaces, the husbands, the men, like I love that part because I remember even with my own family members, what I'm saying, because we are honest, because Prophet Muhammad was an honorable and honest person. So we have these things on the inside, even though the imagination is worse than the reality. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
man, listen, it is a beautiful thing to, be around individuals, even via internet, of people who are trying in the world despite how they trying. That I'm telling you, and because one thing, brother, that is serious to me, we have so many spaces dedicated to the others. If you want to be a liar, just go to a space in law. You can lie all day you want. It's about to win. If you want to be a drunk, you can easily find a group of people. Y'all can meet up every weekend to be drunk, watch sports, be prostitutes. They got so many rooms that they can find those who they can relate to. I really desire a space that individuals who naturally desire to be righteous by any means to just have them a place. It's like why why people hate God so much?
Hmm.
I mean, brother, people don't even have prayer rooms. I mean, it's like, cause
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not, I'm not. well because I've done so much dealing with health. I've done so much for free and being a living example. If you want to deal with health and people charge and people pay, and I'm poor, and people give the liars so much money
Yeah.
and they don't
Yeah.
get the answers. And I've been doing this stuff for years,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just me in the room by myself. So at this point, I am exhausted. So because I did have a heart to hear the prayers at night when people cry, when you can't fake it. When the
Yeah.
sun come out, it give you extra energy to fake, but people cry and mourn at night and pray to God. And God answers prayers through people. And the noise is getting louder. But the thing about it is people ignoring stuff because it don't look flashy and it's not coming from an expensive place. But that's not God's fault. Wisdom said, wisdom will laugh and mock you when you suffering because you ignore wisdom. I want to find the verse. Wisdom is tired of us. I mean, and that's why if individuals who are sick or not, because I'm all about mercy. So I still don't judge people who have these illnesses because don't nobody win. When I see my friends die, the ones that ignore me and all that kind of stuff just die, I don't sit
Mm-hmm.
there and giggle. Don't nobody win. But I prefer to be away because I don't want to hear it because I already hurt.
Yeah.
But these people, when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, because this space, you cannot break the string. You got to be it or you have to leave. So this is for serious business. So people who suffering illnesses, when you sick and tired, at least we will create a space. They will have an option. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I say from the beginning, even if you can only last for 1 minute, at least you have a space.
Yeah.
Even if it's for 1 minute. So if you like, I know people used to smoke and have oxygen in their nose. I don't judge them.
Mm-hmm.
Put the cigarette away and come and join us for a minute and then go back to whatever you're doing. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about me. I want to be able to go to a space that I don't got to deal with people who are crying so loud about suffering, but refuse to do what it takes. I've done that for almost 50 years, because my own mother said I gave her strength to leave my father. So I've been doing it for 50 years. I don't want to hear it no more. It's too loud. Let me tell you something. People. And I want to ask you too, Brother Michael, because you talk about cancer a lot. Let me tell you something. My sister died of cancer. Let me tell you something. My other cousin, his baby had cancer. A baby. So I know what cancer's about. But let me tell you something. I want any and everybody to be honest. Whatever cancers that you're dealing with, do you have the strength to look God in his eyes? And you said, God, you did whatever you did. You at whatever, each and every moment, every strength, every inch to cure your illness. Did you spend as much energy to your answer to the question? Because again, everything that we go through is a testimony for the future generations. We give them the answers. Our problems come from God for solutions. So can you honestly look God in his face and tell God, when you would discover that you had cancer, that you did everything, all your strength and might, each moment to solve it? Or did you waver? And I can honestly tell you, I know in fact that if I dealt with anything and if I did whatever, God would show me mercy. Even when people were talking about COVID, I told the people, think about this. Because you had a lot of people praying over people and healing them. But when COVID came, these people disappeared. I told them this. Only the people that talked about God and bragged about God. So if you don't talk and brag about God, this don't pertain to you. Because these people reap benefits from talking about God, yachts, and all this kind of stuff. I'm a person I'm truly afraid of God. You may not. Remember, I'm talking about those who dealing with cancer. When the COVID went around, because I had both of my jobs. I had to work with COVID. When you look at the history of those who truly love God, any famine, those people went to the famine. They didn't run. Because they love God more than their own life. You gonna try to tell me what you're dealing with and you have the nerve to say you love God? And you got a Bible and you saw people that lost their life for the love of God, and you get COVID, and even if God allow your life to go, you going back to the Father. I'm only talking about those who love God. I'm not talking about niggas. I'm sick of frauds. I am tired of frauds. Because again, it is better to deal with strong words than the actual punishment. Like I talked to the young gentleman today. He said he did the hot chip challenge. And I said, think about it. It is better to listen to Abba's words than to actually experience the pain. He said, yes. This circle don't have no concern about you being offended over words. You're not mature. Take that somewhere else. In this space, words are just words. It's not about how a person say it. If it's the truth, because God, worship God in spirit and in truth. Even if they screaming at you or they're saying in soft, people don't give a damn. They don't care if you say it with kind words and with a box of donuts. They still not going to keep their word. So even if you die from COVID and you was willing to help the people like your predecessors, all of them went to the famine. They went to the leopards because they were servants of God. So stop it. Do not say you love God and not willing to die, even though it's scary. But that's when faith come into place. So if you come around me and you got cancer, stage 3, stage 4 cancer, always think about how you live your life. Because you talking to someone, I do not play with warning signs. If I sneeze, if a bird fly in front of my window, I'm driving too fast. I'm gonna slow down. So our lives may not be the same. Be honest with God, who gave you your breath. If you dealing with cancer, do you dare go to God and say, God, I live a fully complete godly life from the age of 12. I did not ignore the warning signs. I was not habitual with my behavior.
Mm.
And if you can truly look God in his face and his eyes and with honest, I guarantee God will do something for you because you tried when many did not try. They wait to the last minute. They ignored so many things. They blaspheme God because God gave it. This body is so intelligent. It gives so
Mhm.
many warning signs. Now, mind you, my cousin's brand new baby had cancer. And guess what? The baby is alive and strong. Don't remember the cancer. My sister died of cancer. I know multiple people. One of the best friend in my entire life, she died of breast cancer. Cancer is something that's very serious. But if you believe in God, God created cancer. God created cancer. I mean, so brother Mike, you have to, because you keep bringing this cancer up to me.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
problem solver, and I sit back and I'm patient. I'm like, wait, why am I keep hearing about this cancer stuff? Because at my age, I'm like a baby. Babies and old people tell the truth. I'm a
Mhm.
problem solver. I focus on problem. I don't like dealing with people. They do so many hints and stuff, but they don't come direct.
Mm.
Because, and this is another why I like building this space, because I'm talking in the camera. I can't see because I got so many lights, but I'm talking in the camera. If you want to know why this build is here, because for many years, I want to create a space where people feel comfortable being honest about their life experiences without being judged. And that's why so many people cannot express their pain because they don't want nobody to judge them. So if you want to say
Mhm.
this build is nothing, then continue on with the world. But I want to build a space when people can truly feel comfortable enough, can talk about their vulnerabilities. That means you have to build trust. And only when people see when somebody's consistent, then they can let down their guard. When they see a place, when you got people are willing to listen to you without being judged. I even told you, even the lowest whore can come in this place. She can't be a whore in this space. But when she leave, she is not being judged. Because again, we don't know why she's a whore. We don't judge her, but we know you cannot bring that around here. So we're not judging your life because we're trying to create a holy space. And then maybe the whore would love being around men who don't have no interior motives, no matter how beautiful she look. So she
Mhm.
would desire a space like this because she would be around a sisterhood. And then she
Mhm.
can have beautiful daughters who will not be in a space where her beautiful daughters will be abused mentally, will not be in a space when somebody masturbating on her beautiful self at night, because
Mhm.
we don't know what she looked like, because we are in our holy spaces at all times.
Yeah.
So if you want to judge what we are building, please continue to judge it. But me personally, I don't want this always to be an internet thing. I want it to be a physical thing. Because again, we have to build a physical space.
Yes.
And in this physical space, the number one law is to have a place where women can bathe monthly and have a beautiful, because we learned this, and before you build a synagogue, you have to have a space for the women so they can bathe physically and spiritually. and have a space that they can be divine, even if they leave their opposite. But at least there is a space. And that's what heaven represents. Heaven represents a place of
Mhm.
cleansing where you can rest from being a mob boss.
Mm.
You know, when you can rest, as like Brother Mike, as it is in heaven, is on earth. That's all we trying to do. So finances is important when it comes to Brother Michael and myself.
Yes.
Because again, we have to create a beautiful space for the upkeep of the mental, spiritual, physical health of women. So put that on your plate if you want to judge what Brother Michael and I are trying to build. Because I told women many years ago, the planet will not heal until women heal collectively.
Mm.
And women can only thrive in a space where there is complete control. When you look at ants, the queens are allowed a moment into the sun, and then the military soldiers pull her back inside the hole so she can complete her destiny. Women's nature, there's a wobble, and that wobble caused a lot of calamities. So
Mm.
we only would like women who totally respect their wobble nature, where they need to be checked. And they are checked not by men, by other elderly women with life experiences in this particular space. So we're living in divine law, and we're trying to build a place where you can just let loose amongst vetted elderly women who truly desires to correct the wobble in women's nature. Period. Because we want to see heaven on earth. So women have to be in a beautiful, elaborate, protected, and secure space that is consistently protected, maintained, and beautified. I don't have no room for silly women's opinion. I know law. So
Mm.
y'all can be silly in the world, and y'all only going to be beat down and come to Christ in the end. I read too much scripture, and all of you know how foolish and ignorant you are when you're younger. And y'all get to 50s and up, and y'all hate the behavior of younger women. I have received my
Mm.
education from the elder women in the church who gave out the candies for your breath. So they don't play with young girls. Also, let me talk about the great mother. I come in the vein of the great mother. And that's why when I speak about women, I am in authority, period, because I don't speak of myself. I only speak of what she have shared with me. Let me give you example. Foolish women. When you are on your menses don't care about your foolishness. You're going to have to sit in it because it's teaching you about long suffering. Also, foolish women, when you are pregnant, the body don't have no concerns how you feel. It's teaching you about the importance of endurance. When you are breastfeeding, when the nipples get sore and the baby's sucking too hard, it's teaching you about endurance. So I looked at the great mother, how she treat women. So y'all have to learn how to endure. So when it comes from our perspective of great wisdom as men, we don't dwell in women affairs. but we set an authority over women 50 and above to deal with the foolish women. And I watched them, and they they don't play. They are older women don't play with no young girls, man. Y'all get it. So again, and again, when you look at women who are dumb and stupid, I'm gonna use these words because you are emphatically. But when you are around space of authority, you enjoy the rewards. Oprah was pregnant and whored herself out when she was with her mother. You understand what I'm saying? But when her father was in the military, it was discipline. And then her and her father had that conversation when she was pregnant with that child and she didn't have that child. He said, "You got one chance by God." And Oprah took on that discipline, and look at her now. Because she was molested, I think, from age of 5 to 9. So she was treated not fairly. But we know and we have the evidence of being around disciplined, consistent spaces that don't waver. Everybody is grateful. Another example, Brother Michael, I'm going to use the Jacksons. All the years they talked about Joseph this, Joseph that, Joseph this. And when they got in their 60s, everybody appreciated what Joseph did. So me being 50, I don't have room to hear anything of foolishness of wavering. Because even when you're on your smartphone and your computer mess up, look how angry you get when it's not consistent. You don't even have tolerance if your legs and arms don't work like they're supposed to. And you're going to have the nerve to mock me of appreciating being consistent. And you have the right to mock. But remember, I use these words because I want people to not allow emotionalism to ruin their destiny. And that's why in the military, they do yell in your face. They get you out of all of that baby, that childishness. We get you into level of maturity. Because when you focus on your dream, you hear what the person say. It may be the disrespectful thing, but just mind you, you're going to deal with them for a few months, but at least you get to your next level. So you got to get out of the gentle words all the time, but focus on the truth. Because when you look at, like, when the young gentleman was suffering from eating that hot potato chip, he couldn't let loose. He couldn't pray. He couldn't do all the stuff. It got intense. So him listening to me say mean words was much better because it's only for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But when you in like cancer, when you dealing with it, I mean, think about this. Think about this. When you deal with cancer, I have yet to see cancer says, "Oh man, I'm gonna take the weekend off." Remember, nature, all things when nature make a decision, it's gonna be on you until it ends. You know what I mean? So let's look at
Mm-hmm.
cancer. Let's look at behavior of cancer. Cancer is in alignment with existence, meaning it don't take breaks. It don't, you can yell at it, you can scream at it, you can cuss it out. It's still going to produce more cancer cells, right? That's how nature
Yep.
works. Like you can yell at the sun. I mean, nature's something like you can yell at the hair in your arms. You know what I mean? When
Mm-hmm.
nature decides to do something, it's going to do it to the end. So let's think about that. In this space, we're trying to create a mature space about complete healing. So if you have cancer, it will be an honor and a blessing that we all pull our minds together and create our own concoctions. I mean, that's what they do in the laboratory. If you're dealing with a certain cancer and you're around somebody like me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna work day and night, and we could collaborate with each other and figure out certain juices and you know what I mean, and work
Mm-hmm.
together and then document it. I think because that's a journey. I mean, you know how beautiful it is to have people who you know will keep their word day and night to try to solve the dealing that you're dealing with. Because if you cure and you heal from it, that's a testimony that you got people who didn't go to these medical schools and stuff, but they did whatever was necessary with the prayers of God consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Seen you in your up times, cried with you. You know what I'm saying? We all went together. And see, that's why when they go to Hajj, they got their arms strapped together, suffering together.
Yes.
Can you imagine if you dealing with cancer and then you got prayer partners who you know?
Hmm.
Just think. I mean, the benefits of sharing it with somebody who truly loved to solve problems. That's like, look, we found something that's up 3 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Look, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, think about it. You are dying of cancer. The medical field is so expensive. They're gonna just because they're dealing with millions of people with the same problem. They are overrun. They don't have enough nurses. Doctors are quitting, committing suicide. They overrun with the problem. So, I mean, you got cancer, and you got those people who don't have time for you compared to a few people that really love and appreciate you that's gonna do research with you and then create concoctions and
Mm-hmm.
then you know what I'm saying because Michael Jordan taught us one thing, brother Michael. Think about it and be honest.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan was the best basketball player of all time, but he couldn't win a championship without a team.
that's right.
God created a universe, but he created angels as well. When Moses was overwhelmed with all the people, God says, "Get the elders together." So I'm telling you that right there would be an honor to know anybody who's dealing with cancer or other illnesses, and we just create a blog and stuff to document the progress or the declines. Be something
Mm-hmm.
because remember, everybody watching, even AI, everybody watching and seeing progress, but having individuals in your dark time to protect you. Because my sister spoke about the burning bush. The burning bush, she said in Greek, actually represent an
Mm-hmm.
angel. It was not an actual bush. The
Mm-hmm.
bush was on fire, but the fire was the angel.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, Moses had to take his shoes off because you're on holy ground.
That's right.
So let me go to this, brother. So if you're dealing with something that I noticed that is becoming very popular, brother Michael, is something you may have heard. Are you ready for this, brother?
I'm ready.
It says um a com what is that? Let me see. My mind's all over the place right now. There we go. A compatibility partner.
Mm.
Um so when you got somebody, let me see. Is it compatibility? I don't think it. Wait a minute, is it compatibility? No, 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 no. It's not compatibility. I looked up the wrong one. Oh, I'm
Take
sorry. I'm sorry.
you.
You ready for it, Michael? I looked at
I'm ready. I'm
it's
ready.
called a um I was just in my head a few seconds ago. It's called a not compatibility partner, but a um it's oh my god, not a compatibility partner, but someone that keep you on it. What is it?
Accountability partner.
Accountability partner. There you go. Accountability partner. It was a
Mm.
sister I was listening to last week. She was needed help. So
Mm-hmm.
she always talking about I went to her compatible. What is it called again?
Accountability
Accountability. Not compatibility. Accountability partner.
partner.
So you
Yes.
have people that will keep you accountable. They are not judgmental. See, that's the thing about this space. It's not judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
There's a goal. The goal is to heal the cancer. That's the goal. That's the destiny. Because remember, I
Yes.
asked Brother Michael, you know where you going, dude? Do you see what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
You
That's right.
always have when somebody brings something, says, where are you taking me? So
Yes.
remember, every time somebody want to take you somewhere, you always ask, well, where are we going? Well, is it going to
Mm-hmm.
lead me something that I will appreciate in my 60s and 70s and 80s, or it's going to
Mm-hmm.
lead me to the pathway sitting on my deathbed with regret? So when
Right.
people ask you to go somewhere, where are you going with? Where are you taking me? Where I'm, giving you my life. You know what I'm saying? Where are you taking me?
Mm-hmm.
So having
Mm-hmm.
a accountability
Accountability
partner.
partner.
So you
Yes.
have people that will be committed. Now that's something. See, that's again, people judge about people consistent, but when you
Mm-hmm.
have people who will be committed, maybe even more than yourself, because you may have shortcomings. They say, "Hey, what's going on? How's this update?" To me, people love that because those who were successful, they always be in tears of
Mm.
their what is it, bro?
Accountability.
Accountability. I don't know about compatibility. The accountability, they always love them.
Yeah.
And then that's a family. They say when you know somebody more than 7 years, that is not a friend. That's actually a family. Even you
Yes.
have marriages. When you've been around the house for 7 years, it's illegal. It's a legal marriage. So that's the thing about it, brother. Also, another statement you said something about Master Farad Muhammad, not being like Master Muhammad. And when I wrote down, brother Michael, Master Muhammad called us his uncles. I just want to put that on there. And
That's
then,
good. Oh, that's
right, just
good.
think about that. He said we were his uncles.
Mm.
Okay. The last one was about North Carolina and $1 billion.
Mm.
Brother, guess what? Georgia is on their third one. This is their third
Wow.
time reaching $1 billion, brother. I was
Wow.
telling the two young gentlemen while he was walking, I said when I was younger, it was a million, it was 1 million, it was excited for $1 million. But
Yes.
they are at their third billion. So I don't know what's going on, all this money coming from. I may even try to play the lottery. You know what I mean? Because Nas says the buck that bought the bottle could have struck the lotto. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. That's
because
right.
remember, whoever want to ask in the near future about this again, this build number one want to be a physical place that is wellly secure financially, because we are living in the real world. The income is very important, and we're dealing with women. When you deal with women, you don't have no concerns about their opinions, but their main concern is to make sure they're in a financially secure. They don't have to worry about finances. They don't have to worry about their protection. They don't have to worry about how beautiful it is because it's always clean and beautified. And they don't have to worry about being judged by men, but they will be judged by elder women. Accountability, you just can't be any old way because y'all cause a lot. Y'all cause most of the problems that y'all don't have y'all don't have the strength to repair. That's it's written in
Mm.
stone. Even the
Mhm.
Buddha. So someone asked, why there's no Buddha women? Y'all got some problem. Nobody, even ancient Kemet, y'all couldn't be. So we already got the documentation. We know y'all limitations. So and then when you talk around grown people, I'm about to answer this, brother.
Okay.
2 seconds. It's about my job. Let me know I'm be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother Eli's mind, when it becomes the sheer excitement of a problem to solve, when it comes to the sheer enjoyment of accumulation of knowledge and being able to connect the dots, one cannot draw fast enough the words to utter the excitement that comes to the mind of that one that has the ability, that has the accountability, that has a camaraderie of such that influences and emphasizes the structure of solving problems.
Brother Michael, let me say this last piece. Because when you're
Yes.
dealing with communication, remember, we offended or everything. Because I say harsh words.
Mm,
Remember, when it comes to women, for some reason, y'all need a space to go out and mess things up, but y'all need a space to come and correct through prayer, fasting, and tears. So this
mm,
space, because we already have the history, This space is to create a space that's going to protect financially, environmentally, mentally, emotionally, because y'all have the itch. When y'all have the itch, we don't block. You go out, mess yourself up, but at least you get to come back and be a testimony for younger women. That's already documented. Okay, so we
Mm-hmm.
already know about the wobble because the earth have the wobble. We even have it in our own self, our own nature. But this
Mm-hmm.
particular space, if you ever ask again, we want to create something physically that God comes down and visit us, and that women can have a space that they can be beautiful, but they being help assist for their for perfection. And one of the ancient writings said about women specifically, and that's why people love Christ so much, because when they do all the mistakes that they make, that they record in their hearts, at least they have somewhere to go repent. And that's all we're saying. We want to create a space where you can come back and repent. So we're
Mm-hmm.
not judging, but in this space, it have to be some space where people can live like good people without being challenged, because this
Mm-hmm.
world is challenging us every second. So we come with tears of diamond to please have our own space that we can see if God's word are true, because we're actually living it. So God can breathe through us and bless us. Other than that, we seeing God's word is a lie because the world is getting worse. Worse. Our women getting worse. See, our children, family getting worse. A 6-year old the other day, Brother Michael, took a gun to school and shot his teacher 3 times, a 6-year old. So we're not getting better. We're only getting worse until women have a space where they can be truly divine again and protected at all times. Other than that, we will not. Thank you, Brother Mike, for allowing me to go on. And my
Absolutely.
apologies for cutting you off, brother. I just want to get
No,
that out.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so these are more than just verbal, these are calls to action. These are literal calls to action. In the next week, by the next build, we will have a Patreon with which we can accept donations that will go for the sole purpose of accumulation towards the goal. This will not necessarily be exclusive just to people who are watching. I myself will donate to the Patreon for this build because I aspire to have these goals met just as fervently as Brother Eli does. That is the great achievement that is yet to be fulfilled, but will take literal steps towards achieving it. If a human being who is 17 years of age lives with their parents and saves every dime of an $18 an hour job, in 2 years, they will have the equivalent of $75,000. That is by works and discipline alone. I'm going somewhere with this. A single dollar, if it contains the proper encryption that matches a series of spheres that fall by a reverse vacuum into a cylinder, and by chance to the number replicates what you have on a sheet of paper, you will have $1 billion in the state of North Carolina. That is by faith alone. Faith without works is dead. The combination of both can achieve great things. But it is with a purpose, a true goal that will be ascertained in this lifetime. We will go to Proverbs chapter 1, as we both did on January 1, reading our Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 1, starting with verse 20, in regards to wisdom and its warning. And it reads, Wisdom shouts in the street. She lifteth up her voice in the square. How long, naive ones, will you love being simple-minded? And scoffers delight themselves in scoffing, and fools hate knowledge. Turn to my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit upon you, and I will make my words known to you. Because I called, and you refused. I stretched out mine hand, and no one paid attention. And you neglected all my counsel, and did not want my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your dread comes. When your dread comes like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. There was a time in my life where I felt like fear was a lie. I could dare to do any and everything, even if it called for a social Darwinistic suicide of myself. But it would not be for any purpose other than something selfish, something of my own, and not for God. We have the evidence of multiple instances, both in allegory and in literary life, where to suffer for just simply being able to have a space to praise their God will lose their very lives. Brother Eli spoke about running towards the famine. During COVID, our practice did not close its doors. As a matter of fact, we opened them on the purpose of knowing that we are a wellness center that is in the business of curing the sick. Why would we be remiss in our purpose to heal the sick, as if to say, you're too sick to come to get well? We refused any and all booster shots and immunizations. Even to this day, we took in supplements only. And none of us have had any symptoms or any indication that COVID hit us. You could say we placed the blood on the door and it passed us, but we stayed. According to our roster of patients, 30 3%, literally a third of our patients had experienced COVID, whether knowingly or not, had spent at least 1 to 2 visits before taking a test to prove that they indeed had it. We did not close our doors to them, and we still do not. There are many businesses that, due to COVID, are no longer standing because of their fear of a dis-ease when they were meant to cure dis-eases, thus eliminating their true purpose on purpose. We did not. That alone is worth reward. Everyone speaks of the prodigal son, but know that there are also prodigal daughters. And that is worth an even fatter calf. For to heal the womb is to heal the world. I looked up how much it would cost to make your most basic 18 by 10 bath with the trimmings as pronounced in the mikvah. The average cost for this, for the low end version of this, is $150,000. That's the low end. That would seat maybe 5 people, and that would not be comfortably. But one thing that I have learned as a fellow builder, Brother Eli, is one brick at a time, you will have your wall. One wall at a time, you will have your house. In steps and increments, I will make it a point that we will take note and make accountable those goals as they are being met. And when they are met, and they will be, it will be God to thank for all of these things. God through each other in the brotherhood. For they say when 2 are present, then God is in the midst. But also through those who dare a mighty thing to be a part of that brotherhood, of that Godhead. We thank you in advance for what we will manifest on our due diligence as well as our faith. We have, to summarize, come a mighty long way, but we still dare mighty things, and we have a mighty long way to go. That is the grand answer to these questions. And for that, this night, I am truly satisfied. But alas, the light took some of the darkness from the room and shone itself dimension upon inanimate things, has taken away boogeymen from underneath beds and behind closet doors, in between clothing and the gathering of garments. And though all of these things have been achieved but for a night, the next night he'll be expected to do the same thing, just as we are expected on our own accountability to do the same each week together. But I find joy within that work with a fellow builder. And I know that in my 60s and 70s, and when he is in his 70s and 80s, and when we have more salt than pepper in our beards, we could sit back and say, we were that. We have done this. And it was all thanks to God. But until then, the candle cannot complain against the darkness and the hardness. It instead emits itself, then admits to itself that it is everything that it needed. It is the light, and we are that light. We will not blow this light away from us. It would be remiss for us to do such a thing. Instead, we take this in so that every hug, every handshake, every exchange of our spirit, which is our breath, to the ears that lend to our attention and paid to hear us, will feel the warmth and light that we have shared in nights like this, and days such as the future, which is the past, the end, which is the beginning, which is the end, which is the now, right now. And so we take it in, and we show and prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that we are not harmed. Peace and many multitudes of blessings be unto all who have bared witness to this brick being built this night.
Brother Michael, for my last words, brother, it's tears in my eyes. So, brother, you actually want to build our own mitzvah, our own play. That something, see, as man of solution, something to live for. I mean, brother, that makes me smile. This is even putting the money behind, but something to live for. That is, and then look at what we're trying to do. One group been doing it for 4,000 years, because even the Hebrew Israelites don't even do that. The black ones in America, they don't have that. It's all, brother. The now we got the Patreon. Please let me know. Like I said, do a few dollars each week. You know what I'm saying? We got a tangible goal.
Yes.
Lord, that feels so good. So thank you. Woo.
Yes.
Blessings. And also, you ain't tell me who got cancer. Who got the cancer that's dealing with?
That has been something that members of my family have endured ever since, as long as I can remember. It is still questionable as to whether or not my father died of a heart attack due to stress, or that he endured stomach cancer ever since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
In regards to my mother, she has dealt with sarcoidosis, which involved a bulge in her neck that had to be removed, which is a mass, by slitting her throat and sewing it back together. And most recently, a person that I had met on social media while trying to bring together the build onto that certain app has fought cancer twice and is at threat of it for a third time. However, she is somewhat non repentant of some of the things that can cause said cancer. Smoking, for one thing, for sure, certain eating regimens. And that calls for me to bring forth the answers in a call to action to bring her onto the build with the problem so that we can solve it by the accountability of having a highly alkaline eating regimen, for there is no sickness that can survive in an alkaline body, for it is acidic and acidic alone. So it has been a conquest of my own to find that answer in regards to cancer, for sure.
Okay. Again, I am beyond amazed and so happy that as men that we are literally going to do something tangible. That right there. And then, like I said, something for the women. And one thing, the reason why Jews love money, they don't love money, but their lifestyle is expensive because they send their children to private school. Like they can't work. So you see what I'm saying? So their religion demands that they have the finances because they live a secluded life. They really support private schools. They really support you see what I'm saying? So it takes
Yes.
finances. So that makes sense. So they don't love money because they want to be rich and balling, because all the wealthy Jews I know, they have a humble home, but they use it
Mm,
for other stuff, for protection.
mhm,
They protect their children. They protect their family through the finances. That's why they get their own police force. You see
mhm.
what I'm saying? So they use it for a purpose. They
Yes.
don't use it to ball out.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why. So, man, that's beautiful. Dealing with the sister with the cancer, the first thing I would like to offer, Brother Mike to offer, because you know her personally. Um, Before we close, I would like to please hear a prayer for the sister dealing with her cancer, because that's the first thing that we can do as true brothers of God to the sister, because we don't necessarily, remember, we won't necessarily judge what she do to either maintain the cancer. Remember, that's her relationship between her and God. Even if she continues to smoke, but that's, you see what I'm saying. But our
Mhm,
job as brothers and servants of God is to provide what we can do, because remember, the nuns, they pray for the world even though the world continue on, you understand what I'm saying, to do their
mhm.
sins, because when God judges, he judges all. Like when you cutting the grass, you don't just pass the anthill. Anthill.
No.
So, you know what I'm saying? So we all
Yeah.
need mercy. So that I would love to hear a small prayer for the sister before we close. And
Mhm,
also I hope and pray that we can have a conversation, an honest and intimate conversation, and see why, as a spirit, as a soul, that she wants to experience this. Because my grandmother, she had a goiter, big goiter, man. So that's a part of my family. Then with the thyroid
mhm.
gland, you
Yes.
know. And so when you said that, uh, my grandmother, she couldn't speak for 5 years before she died. But she was in her 80s. You see what I'm saying? So that's a part of my family, I guess. DNA is dealing with these big goiters and stuff.
Mhm,
Um, so that's a truthful thing. But yeah, with the sister, anybody else, we don't judge. We can only offer. Because, like, think about this: when people go mess up, you don't necessarily hear Jesus condemn them when they come into church. But at least they're in the church praying. You know what I mean? And being
yes.
honest. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Mhm,
so that's being a divine being, Brother Michael. That's what it's about, playing your role. Like a white blood cell don't says, well, you keep eating cheeseburgers, I'm not. You see what I'm saying? They
mhm,
will only protect until they can't protect no more. They done their job. You see what I'm saying? So as
mhm,
servants of God, when people are to the point and they want to come in this space, of course we demand a particular lifestyle. But if they decide to go out and do others, that's between him and them and God. But when we before God, and God shows us that experience, we say we least was a brother to that person to the best of our
mhm.
ability. But their experiences is theirs alone. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
because you got people in their hundreds and they be smoking. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we don't know, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
as brothers of God and of the burning bush in this space, like Moses, he was a murderer, but in this
Mhm.
space, he's a brother. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So she'll take her shoes off and we'll work whatever it takes as family. And I'll be patient because she don't know who and what I am. So I'll be coming in
Mhm.
the name of Jesus, like I'll be coming in the name of Brother Michael, because she know you. That's what I mean by coming to the name of Jesus to the Father. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I know you have credibility. So if I'm coming your name through your credibility, I'll maintain the credibility. Like I told my sons the first day of school, you have an A. That's the easy part. But to maintain that A. So
Yes.
I can't allow you, you know what I'm saying, to invite me into her life through your good word and your effort and be a nigga. It doesn't work like
Right.
we don't
Correct.
have time for that. It's too many people leaving the church of a broken heart. It's too many people hate God because people failed the law. We're not in that
Mm.
space to create more hurtful people return to God of a broken heart. They
Yeah.
gonna point at somebody else when it comes to us, brother. They say, nah, they kept trying. Even though when I humbled myself enough and came to them, they was consistent. Consistent.
Mhm.
The son
Yes.
don't judge. You can party wherever son does his part. And then, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We
Mhm.
doing our part, like the universe. We can only do our part. We can't do more or less. We do our part. And being servants and brothers and sisters is the highest title. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that, brother. Because like I say, you said things multiple times. But thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do that prayer, brother, please. And I'll pray with you.
Mm. Hmm. Divinity within and without us, we come to you humbly in this sacred space and ask in your supreme maturity to grant us the resilience to work tirelessly to help those in need to the point that they have found healing and are cured of all ailments before we even begin to wean in our strength. One sister in particular, Sister Paula, is in need of assistance in accountability in a loving, kinding way. Please allow us the power to help her to even endure with her through this time so that the ailment in question goes more into remission than ever before. This particular person who has endured cancer twice has been hit a third time. She has no strength to do it alone in her mind. Grant us the strength to show her to her healing in hopes that she will go through the door that will be opened for her in her mind, and that on the other side, she will be healed. We ask of this selflessly because it is your way and it will be your will if we are so granted. And based upon her understanding of faith and spirituality, we ask of this in Jesus' name, Son of God, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother Michael.
We thank God, and I thank you. And this has been the greatest work that I have ever done until this moment. But there is much greater work to come. Blessings.